Do trees have voices? Not like we do, right? They communicate through their roots using mycelium, using the mycorrhiza fungus. What? So cool. Another thing that the mycorrhiza funguses do is, as they're holding on to all their buddies, they can break down nutrients, or they can use nutrients in the soil that, or pull it up, that plants can't, or plants have a harder time doing. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, look, tree, I can get you this nutrient pretty easy on my part. You, tree, can get me sugars. I can't get sugars because I can't do photosynthesis, but you, tree, can do photosynthesis. I'll trade you this nutrient for some of your sugar. The tree's like, yeah, I got lots of extra sugar, but I need that nutrient, and they trade. So having that symbiotic relationship, that relationship where both parties benefit, it's so awesome. These mycorrhiza fungi are saying, hey, I got a little extra, you got a little extra, let's trade. And it makes the whole environment stronger as they work together. So one of the things that I'll do especially in a food-bearing garden like the 7 circles, is I'll put down I'll inoculate, there's a fun science word, I'll inoculate the soil with those mycorrhiza spores. So those like little seed-like things, put it in the ground. Inoculate just means I'm putting it in the ground, in the soil, as I'm planting the plants. And they're all like, oh, yay, this is a great day. And they're all working together. So as we do this, the ground is going to become healthier. So that's one fungus working together. And then you add on those saprophytic fungi breaking things down, and you've got this garden, or this planet of beautiful reciprocal relationships, which is just so good. But unfortunately, not all funguses are super helpful. A lot of them are not helpful. There's another job of a fungus, and they're called parasitic fungi. If you've ever heard the word a parasite, that's something that is not very helpful. It latches on or leeches onto another being, so it might be like a literal leech, is like this little creepy wormy thing in the water, not where we live, so don't worry about it. And they'll latch onto you and they'll suck your blood. You're like, why? That's rude. But that's how they live. Or like, I don't think mosquitoes are necessarily considered parasitic, but they're taking from us, and we now just have something to itch all day. So not a great relationship. It's not something that you're sitting there like the mycorrhiza going, yay, we're best friends. It's something you're going, rude. Why are you doing that? So some funguses are kind of rude to their environment, but hey, that's how they gotta live. So those would be the parasitic fungi. And basically they're gonna be latching onto something and draining it of its life force. So there's one fungus, and I will send you a video so that you'll see it, called the Cordyceps. And I don't want to give it away, but the Cordyceps fungi is parasitic. And its spore will fall onto a host of some sort, and it will then drive the host to do crazy things, and will eventually take all the nutrients from the host, and the host dies. So that will be, we can also see just around us, if you get like mildew on your plants, there's something called like a powdery mildew, and it's generally white. It's going to be a fungus. It's going to be taking from the plant, and the plant will eventually die. So not all funguses are great. There's also funguses that just cause like little itchy infections. If you've ever had, I don't know, sometimes people get little fungal infections on their toes or on their hands, and it itches. Not really hurting you, but it's not also really comfortable either. So it's really interesting to see how funguses kind of take their environment and go, all right, where is there a hole? Where is there a place where I can do something? And they always fill that hole. That's called a niche or a niche. People kind of pronounce it either way. And they'll fill all that, and they'll do all these crazy things like breaking down the things around us, helping trees and plants talk to each other, helping trees and plants get more nutrients than they would otherwise, and bothering those around them. Another job of the fungus family is, at least that's how we use it, is to use them to eat. I mean, a lot of people eat mushrooms, or a lot of people eat different kinds of fungi, and some of my personal favorites are the beach fungus, the oyster mushrooms, chicken of the woods, which is a funny name for one. I also love shiitake and maitake and lion's mane. There's all these wonderful mushrooms that we can actually eat. Another really wonderful use for funguses is in antibacterials or antibiotics. If you've ever had an infection of any sort, you might have gone on antibiotics. And a lot of those are fungus driven. They're from funguses, which is just absolutely incredible that funguses can help us heal our bodies. There's also studies on using certain funguses to heal people's brains. So things like lion's mane or even turkey tail to heal different, ailments in the body, using these funguses, these mushrooms at this point, to heal ourselves, which is beautiful. Other ways that we are starting to use funguses is in textiles, is in clothing. It's really new, and there's obviously you can't go to the store and purchase your fungus shirt, but maybe that's the way of the future. Or using funguses to break down oil spills, or to clean up the environment, or to eat plastic. Like, there's all these incredible uses for funguses, and we are so lucky to have them. All right, before I let you go, I want to introduce you to a couple of my very favorite California funguses. So these are ones that if you're going out in the woods, which I highly recommend, every video it seems I'm recommending you go outside, hint hint, you will see these guys, or you will maybe see these guys if you've got your eye out. The first one that I can almost guarantee you will see is called King Alfred's cake, or cramp ball. Let's see if we can get this without the sun. Other way. And it looks just like this little black ball hanging on the side of a tree. And this is going to be on trees. You might actually find the bark with these fallen, but they are going to be living on trees. Now you can see that this one doesn't look anything like this one. Remember how I said they all look different? Yeah, they all look different. Some of them come up like this, with their stalks and their caps and their gills, and they're like, look, I look just like the textbook said. And then there's others who go, I'm still a fungus, I just look different. So this one is King Alfred's cake, which I wouldn't want to eat that if I were King Alfred, or a cramp ball. And you'll see these and they'll just look like the trees of Dalmatian. It's pretty awesome. This one that I'm actually holding up that I've been showing you is called the jack-o'-lantern mushroom. And generally they'll come in like big bunches, but you don't want to really touch them, or definitely don't want to eat them. You will be tied to the potty for days. You will not feel well. You might even end up in the hospital. So if you see one that looks like this, don't touch it. Another one that I love is this is the artist's conch. Now this is a super old one, so it doesn't really look like they actually do in real life. In real life, they are brown on top with a white bottom, and if you touch the white bottom, you can like draw in it, and it looks like whatever you draw, and it'll turn brown. Please don't actually do that. I always feel so torn because I'm like, that's so fun, but also leave it alone. So this is a artist conch that is obviously not white on the bottom. This is old. Found this like buried deep in the ground. But usually they live on the sides of trees, and again, they look like that. So this kind of mushroom, again, looks nothing like this one. This is a shelf fungus because it looks like a little shelf on the side of a tree. And underneath, does it have gills? Nope. It's got a bunch of tiny little holes called pores. So it's a polypore. Poly means multiple, and pore is just like a bunch of little tiny holes. It's a polypore fungus, shelf fungus. So very different than our other one. Another one of my favorites is the Amanita Muscaria, and most of you guys have seen these. If anyone ever draws a fungus or a mushroom in a book, it's usually one of these guys. And they are like the very typical red capped with the white specks, and it's generally called toadstools, always like in fairy tales. These guys, super, super toxic. Poisonous, do not eat them. You will have a very bad day and you will definitely end up in the hospital. So if you see them, just look at them, say, hey, you're cute, and then walk away. Don't ever touch them. Related to that beast is the even more toxic Amanita Virosa, also called the destroying angel for a reason. Looks very similar, as you can see. They're both part of the Amanita family. This one is just all white. The cap is white, the gills are white, the stalk is white. It wears this little tiny little skirt. That's from when the cap opened up. It has the little veil that we were talking about earlier. That little veil is still attached. It just looks like a skirt. And these will definitely kill ya. If you eat them, don't even touch them. So just, again, leave it alone. I had mentioned that one of my very favorite mushrooms to find in the woods is chicken of the woods, and I've only found it a couple times, but it's delicious. And it's unfortunately one of those that you can't buy at like the farmer's market, whereas oyster or beach mushrooms you can. This is chicken of the woods. Again, it's a polypore shelf fungi, meaning it's shelf fungus. It's on the shelf of a tree, right? Polypore doesn't have gills. It's gonna have a bunch of little holes where the spores come out. And it's bright orange, bright yellow. And when you cook it, it takes on this like lemony chicken flavor, and it's really delicious. Another one of my favorites is the bird's nest fungi, and it looks exactly like what it's called. It's got little cups. These are actually a different kind of fungi, yet again, called ascomycetes. They make these little asks, or these little cups. And inside are these, what look like eggs. Looks like a little bird's nest. Again, they're not toxic, but you don't want to eat them because they taste horrific. So don't. This one's really, really cool. We're actually growing some of this in room 11. It's called lion's mane, and it kind of looks like a lion's mane, a big white puff. Again, it's a shelf fungi, going to be on the side of a tree, generally speaking. We are not growing it on the side of a tree. We're growing it in like a really fine sawdust kind of thing. But it's delicious. It's one of those that's really good for your brain and really good for your body. Lion's mane. And you can get this at the farmer's market. And the last one I want to show you is the orange peel fungus. And I think it's really funny because it looks like someone just was peeling their orange and just went, oh, decomposition. Oh, decomposition. And yeah, no, it's not actually an orange peel. It just looks like it. However, it doesn't taste like an orange peel. It's actually not edible. Edible meaning, can you eat it? No, you cannot eat this unless you want to taste gross stuff. I thought I had one more here. I think I will tell you about it. It's called the puffball fungus. It's my very last one I want to tell you. And it looks like what it's called. A little ball, and it sits on the ground, and if you touch it or if you step on it, it explodes. It explodes. There's spores just everywhere, like all over the place. And it's super fun. Most of these guys you wouldn't really want to touch, or you wouldn't really want to bother, because they need to do their job in getting their spores out the way they need to. But a puffball fungus, you see one, go for it. Step on those guys. They want you to. They want you to knock into them so their spores can explode everywhere, and it's really a sight to see. I was in the butterfly garden redoing stuff and pulling out weeds, and I hit one and it just exploded all over my face. And I was like, breathing in spores. Also, not edible, wouldn't kill ya, but would taste like you're eating like dust. So again, don't eat that one. Thank you so much for sticking around with me while I teach you all about these different funguses and mushrooms. If you are going to go out into the world and want to find some, always do it with an adult, and always bring along a guide of some sorts. So I actually have this one wonderful book. I don't have it with me here to show you, but it's like California Mushrooms. It's big, thick textbook, and it's amazing, and they have it at the library because it goes through, it's broken up into different sections, Oh, if you come up to a mushroom in the forest and you see, oh, there's gills, you can flip to gilled mushrooms, and you look through all of the different kinds. Is it yellow? Yes, okay. Go to the yellow. And you look through and you can figure out what it is, or you can at least narrow it down. Now, one thing is the chicken of the woods looks similar to this jack-o'-lantern mushroom. Now, one is a polypore shelf fungi and one is a gilled fungus that grows from the ground. It's very different growing, but if you're new to it and there's one that's good for you and one that is very dangerous to eat, and they look really similar and you're not sure which one it is, err on the side of caution and don't pick it up. Now, I think I got all the ones from the library, so there's lots of these. There's North American mushrooms, there's mushroom books, they can even teach you, inside which ones to eat. Now I just opened to this, and this is actually one of those interesting things too. This is a chanterelle, which looks again a lot like this guy, which is the jack-o'-lantern, which you don't want to eat. Be really careful. You can go through, grab some books, go into the forest, go find some mushrooms. I'm so excited for you guys to be able to kind of see them and maybe know what you're looking at. I know Room 11 has gotten really good at identifying the mushrooms that I have presented to them, and it's really fun to watch. Another really awesome book for the younger folks is the Mushroom Fan Club book. This book is awesome. It's cartoony, so you can, keeps our attention, but it also, I opened a chanterelle in 2 books. Wow, it's like a sign. You go through and it talks all about the different mushrooms, and it also talks about mushroom safety. So there it is. I hope you guys go out. If you do and you find mushrooms, I would love for you to send me an email with a picture of them if you want to, and maybe we can help or work together on identifying what the mushroom is. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye.